Feeling stressed? Research from the Mayo Clinic shows that prolonged stress can raise the risk of heart disease, stroke, and sleep problems, cutting years off your life. In this episode, we chat with a neuroscientist and chief learning officer at the Workplace Performance and Wellbeing Institute about managing stress, reaching peak performance without burning out, and taking charge of your mental health. It's time to stop being the patient and start your healing journey. You're a very talented person. What are some signs that stress is becoming unmanageable?
Yeah, so stress, it's a funny word. And I feel like stress can get a bit of a bad rap. We feel like stress is something that we should avoid, something that we should eliminate from our life. And then that is the solution. However, stress is actually here to keep us safe. And it's a natural response that occurs within the body. If we were to eliminate stress completely or eliminate this response that we have, how can we achieve the goals that we want? How can we reach peak performance within our business, within our workplace, home, in our relationships? It motivates us to move us forward. Stress is actually vital in our life. And obviously thousands of years ago, the stress response was used to keep us safe from predators. It was, it helped us get the energy and the blood flow to certain parts of the body, like the brain and the heart, so we could run away from animals, tigers, lions, whatever we're moving away from, tribes. And now, obviously, the stress response is used in a different way. It's still the same response within the body, though. It's still heart racing, blood shunting to certain organs to keep us safe. Certain parts of the brain are actually reduced because we don't maybe need to use those parts of the brain within the stress response because it's fight, flight, or freeze. It's there just to keep us surviving. And now we're in this stress response a lot longer and a lot more often because maybe your boss is calling you, maybe you have conflict at work, maybe you're in an argument at home with your partner, maybe your kids are yelling, whatever it is, and we're just constantly in this stress response. So obviously it's there to keep us safe. It's essential. Let's not run away from it. However, we just need to learn how to manage it a little bit better and actually use it to help us thrive and push us forward towards our goals and our dreams. So the stress response, you know that you're in it because, like I said, your heart's going to be pounding, your breathing rate's going to increase. Maybe you'll start sweating, heating up. Some people go red in the cheeks, and you'll feel certain sensations like maybe your nervous system is moving a lot faster. So you'll feel maybe little tingling or vibrations happening in certain parts of the body, and your sort of thinking will definitely change in this stress response as well, because like I said, certain parts of the brain is no longer firing and functioning, but other parts are firing and functioning more. There's heaps of things happening within the stress response. I hope that helps, Jerry.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I remember my first job interview, I shook the interviewer's hand my hand was all sweaty and all that.
Yeah.
What are some effective stress management techniques that you recommend?
Yeah, amazing. Well, of course, that's quite a broad question, and it really depends on your listener and who's listening right now and what's happening within their own life. What are their goals? What is their lifestyle? What do they want to change or implement? What do they want their life to feel and look like? However, what I love to start with everyone is creating little pockets of parasympathetic. So I love to just go into that a little bit. Our nervous system, part of that is our autonomic nervous system. It's the nervous system that is just automatically happening. I mean, we don't need to physically say to our hearts, can you pump blood now? You don't have to say to your lungs, can you breathe now? It's always happening. Our guts always working. These organs are working in synergy without us actually having to physically do much or say and think about it, right? So that's our autonomic nervous system, this web of electricity moving through the body to make sure that we're functioning optimally, that we're keeping healthy, that we're, surviving. And so this autonomic nervous system then splits into two parts. And I'd love your listeners to picture this like a seesaw. And one end of the seesaw, you've got your sympathetic nervous system. On the other end of the seesaw, you've got your parasympathetic nervous system. Now, your sympathetic is your go, 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 your fight, your flight, let's get stuff done. Whereas your parasympathetic is your slowing down. It's your deep breathing. It's your getting ready for bed. It's your meditating. It's reading a book, going for a walk in nature. It's your healing and repairing, whereas your sympathetics, actually you're breaking down, because in a sympathetic state, your body wants to survive. It will break down tissue and anything that it needs to basically increase glucose and sugar levels up to the brain, because that's what it needs to keep alive. However, your parasympathetic, because it's in this beautiful calm energy, it will actually be able to repair tissue. It will actually be able to increase your health, your vitality, repair and renew your cells. So of course, picturing it like a seesaw, we need to find some sort of balance. And when I say this word balance, it's interesting because obviously, so many people are so busy and they think, okay, what does balance mean? Do I need to meditate for hours on end? Do I need to be going to yoga classes every single day? And that's not the case, because balance looks different for everybody. However, we're so much in our sympathetic nervous system all the time, and we're very rarely touching our parasympathetic. So unfortunately, we're breaking down our tissues. We're having chronic health issues because we're not balancing it out. So how can you bring pockets of parasympathetic into your life? And I always say to people, 15 minutes a day is all you need. 15 minutes in a 24-hour day is 1%. That's it, Jerry. So if someone can find 1% of their day to dedicate to parasympathetic, now this can be deep breathing, this can be sitting with a cup of tea, but away from noise, away from technology. That's the key. It could be going for a walk on your own with your thoughts. It could be just laying in the sun for 15 minutes. You can break that 15 minutes maybe into 3 sections of 5 minutes. However it works for you, but it's just finding those moments where you actually get to sit with yourself and your thoughts and just notice, what's your body doing right now? How's it feeling? Is there any emotions maybe felt or stuck within the body? Any thought patterns that keep circulating around your mind? Is there anything that you'd like to maybe write down in a journal or express to a friend? Something that's annoying you and you haven't resolved? All of these things will only actually become resolved and actually come forward when you take moments to slow down and connect inwards. So that would be my advice to your listeners, is finding 15 minutes in your day to just slow down, connect inwards, away from your phone, away from your emails, away from your friends and family. And that's the place to start.
Wow. It only takes 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, that's sustainable, and it's about creating sustainable change. I think if I was to tell someone you need to find 2 hours or 3 hours every single day, it's going to scare people off and it won't create sustainable change. I want people listening to this episode in 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years time going to me, I've actually created so much change and I feel so much better, rather than being scared of creating the change because it seems unrealistic.
It seems like back then our ancestors was food, sleep, and survive, but now it's food, sleep, and social media. So
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
what is
So
the
true.
healthy amount of social media you recommend to reduce stress levels?
Yeah, social media is an interesting one. I'm studying neuroscience, like you said, at the moment, and we've actually been learning recently a lot about neurodivergency. That seems to be a topic at the moment, right? There's a lot coming out about ADHD and all of these neurodivergent cognitive sort of functioning, and it's providing some sort of link with social media. It's not saying that social media actually causes ADHD or autism or any of these sorts of things. However, it's saying that social media, if used to high levels, and it's not just social media, it's stimulating technology. Yeah, so it's watching videos all the time. It's constant stimulation of the brain actually produces ADHD-like symptoms. So it's not saying that it causes ADHD, but it might present like ADHD. Because if you think about it, our brains are not wired to be constantly stimulated with noise, sound, lights, all the different things that are now happening on our phones and technology and social media. It's not wild to be able to cope with that level of stimulation. So now our brains are having to adapt to what we're doing every single day, because that's how our brain works. You've got, neuroplasticity, where it's able to, adapt to what's going on so it can keep us alive, keep functioning. It's just, our brain is just so magical. It can evolve all the time. However, it's not always optimal how it evolves. And it's evolving to be able to, withhold this level of social media and stimulation that we're doing, but it is sometimes presenting as ADHD symptoms. It's creating restlessness. Our brain neurons are firing so fast, so we're having racing thoughts. We're not being able to focus. We're not able to sit still. I mean, I think I saw a study recently, and our level of focus now is 30 to 60 seconds or something. It's crazy. It used to be 7 minutes, and now we actually can't focus for more than about 30 seconds at a time, like clear, proper, no distraction focus. So this is probably one of the issues that we're having with high levels of stimulation in social media and technology. And obviously, with the education system is always changing and it's up to date, and I get that. However, kids now at such a young age are, running technology. I see 2 or 3-year-olds, they know exactly what to do with the phone. They're always watching YouTube videos, constantly stimulated. I mean, imagine what that's doing to a developing brain. Our brains are not fully developed until we're, well into our teenage years, early 20s. It's still developing depending on age and gender and all the cultural things and stuff like that. But imagine your brain when you're between 0 and 7. That's when you're really adapting, and it's when you're really soaking up information. So I think, coming back to your question, Jerry, there's not really a right or wrong with it. However, I would say to your listeners that with social media consumption, technology use, become aware of how you feel afterwards. So take, for example, myself, a few weeks ago, I noticed that if I go on my phone, doesn't matter what I'm doing, whether I'm creating a list for my day on my phone, whether I'm reading an article on my phone, whether I'm on social media, I noticed that if I'm on it before about 8 o'clock in the morning, I feel tired for the rest of the day. So for me, it drains my energy and my brain just doesn't seem to function properly. So I need to give myself that space and time in the morning and in the evening to make sure I have my phone away, because you need time to repair. Come back to that. Your brain is always firing and always on. How are you going to repair? How are you going to actually hold on to information? The problem is our brain at the moment is just so leaky. We're getting information in and it's going straight back out because we're not actually taking that time to soak it in properly, like a sponge, So I think, just build that awareness. Everyone's different. And be true to yourself. If you spend 30 minutes or 60 minutes a day on social media, how does it make you feel? If you spend 5 hours a day on social media, how does it make you feel? How's your brain function? Are you getting headaches? Are you feeling tired? Is your mood changing? Are you feeling restless? Do you have any levels of focus? So for me, it's not a straight up answer. Everyone's different. However, just come back to really becoming aware of how you feel. Does that answer your question?
Excellent response. Very insightful. And one of the other questions I have, overstimulation of the brain, does that cause a burnout? Is burnout a correct term for overstimulation?
So burnout is a mixture. It's actually a syndrome, and it has a mixture of both physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, and then it's also this other part where you start to become cynical. You actually start to become, deflated, unmotivated. You think that, what's the point? Why bother? You just think everything is quite negative and quite overwhelming, to the point of you're just sort of almost hating life or hating your job, or it's a very negative, cynical way of thinking. So you've got those three: physical, emotional, and cynicism. And overstimulation of the brain, if we don't allow times of parasympathetic, then we'll definitely find all of these three elements are going to I'm in. Because if you're so tired and fatigued, you're going to start to feel ratty and irritable, and you start to become cynical. If you're overstimulated all the time and constantly your brain is switched on, you're going to become both emotionally exhausted and physically exhausted. And then if we think about social media and TV and all the things that we're exposed to, it also creates a global stress, because we're now not only thinking about our own lives and what's stressful and what we need to do to keep ourselves safe. We're now exposed to stories of, I'm exposed in Australia to stories of what's happening in Canada, for example, right? So if you think about it, there's this global stress, because now I know what's happening all over the world in terms of stressful events, traumatic events. And even if we think that we're not really soaking it in on an unconscious level, you are. So having times where you're not really watching the news, you're not really soaking up what's happening on Facebook is good, because otherwise you're just consuming too much negativity, too much stress, too much trauma on a sort of global level.
Wow. And when you reach this state of burnout, what are possible remedies to become better again, become back to normal?
Yeah, well, there's actually a tool that we do here at Workplace Performance Wellbeing Institute where we look at your 6 pillars of health. So your 6 pillars of health are, physical movement and exercise. You've got hydration, meditation / mindfulness. That's talking about, slowing down, connecting inwards. We've got sunlight. We've got breath. And I always forget one, nutrition. That's the other one. So you've got your 6 pillars of health. And then, we get people to rate them out of 100. So say if nutrition being one of them, you think, I eat regular meals. They're healthy. They're balanced. I'm eating within, all of my micros and macros. When I eat the food, I feel energized and amazing. That's also a sign that your nutrition's on point for you and your body. Then you would maybe rate yourself 100 out of 100. That's 100%. So you go along and basically rate yourself out of 100 for the 6 pillars. You then add them together and divide by 6. So it gives you an average. Now, say at the end of this tool, using this tool, you get maybe 50%. That's basically telling you that you're only putting 50% into your mind and your body. How are you meant to give out 100% if you've only got 50% inside you? So you're giving out 50% is actually your 100% too. So it's about giving yourself this piece of awareness to go, wow, I'm only functioning at 30%. But then giving yourself some compassion and love and going, okay, I'm trying to give out more than what I actually have right now. So be lenient with yourself. Give yourself the space to heal, to slow down and connect. That's the only way you're going to get better. And then also use the tool to go, okay, what pillar do I need to start with? What pillar is maybe the lowest, or maybe what pillar is the easiest for me to change right now to give me the greatest results? Is it nutrition? Am I getting any sunlight? Am I moving my body in meaningful ways every day? Am I hydrating and drinking enough filtered pure water every day? There's just few questions to ask, and they're the steps to start with. It's just small, simple steps every single day, not forcing yourself to do anything uncomfortable, just slowly moving forward. Because if someone's really in a state of burnout, it's a harsh place to be. I experienced a level of burnout when I was a paramedic, and I saw also people burnt out, stressed like crazy, and the ramifications of that, the chronic health issues, the number of medications people are on, the fact they're struggling to get out of bed and be motivated to do anything. And it's really affecting their relationships. And the quality of your relationships is the quality of your life too. So I would start there as well. Who's someone in your life that you can reach out to be a sounding board, to come over and just give you some support, to help you cook food, to help you clean your house, whatever you need. Because having connection, I was actually listening to a TED talk the other day, really boosts your stress resilience. It's having social support and connection is a greater antidote of depression, of burnout than any medication, because it helps us feel supported. It's that human nature that we need. Humans are not meant to be isolated. We are meant to be connected with other humans. So coming back to connecting with other humans, even if you think I'm tired, I don't want to, is there someone that you could just lean on a little bit, call on the phone for 5 minutes a day, have them come over. It will help you release oxytocin, this beautiful hormone that actually helps us become more resilient and more compassionate. That's a long-winded answer, Jerry.
Wow. Thank you so much. No, you went in depth. You told us everything we need to know. Um, I guess there's some truth to the saying, an apple a day makes the doctor go away.
Yeah,
Nutrition,
it's true.
the 6 pillars of life. And another interesting thing, what kind of mental health conversation do you need to have with yourself or others to promote well-being?
Such a good question. And I think, mental health conversations is an interesting one. If you're having it with someone else, just making sure that you're in the right headspace yourself, that you're not going to maybe project your own issues and opinions onto someone. Be completely open and make sure that you're feeling safe to have this conversation. Also, let go of any sort of level of pressure on yourself. You're not a psychologist. You're not a health professional. You don't have to have the answers. All you need to do is to provide a safe space for someone else to feel heard, and that can make such a huge difference. So I'd say just start there. Give yourself some leniency. Make sure you're in the right space. And then for yourself and for others, a good way to start a conversation, I love this one because it's such a paramedic way of asking questions, is like, for example, out of 10, 10 being, the highest, the best, how would you feel? How would you rate how you feel today? 0 to 10, how would you rate your energy today? 0 to 10, how would you rate your sleep last night? That's such a good way because then it really gets you curious. Say if I said to you, Jerry, 0 to 10, how would you rate your mental health right now? And you said, for example, I think it's a 3. I'm like, okay, that's quite low, Jerry. Why do you think that's a 3? And then it will open up the conversation because then you'll actually start to go, I feel that I can be honest here, and you'll start to open up why it's only a 3. But then say if you said, it's a 7 out of 10, I'd be like, wow, okay, that's pretty good, Jerry. How come it's a 7? What are you doing that's helping you be a 7 out of 10 with your mental health? So you might say some positives, but then I might ask, but why is it not a 10? Why is it not a 10 out of 10, Jerry? What is happening in your life right now that's skimming you that 3 to get you to a 10, So I love that question because it just makes people curious and actually lean in to the conversation rather than lean out. I feel like when we have difficult conversations that maybe seem a bit challenging, can maybe make us feel a bit uncomfortable, we tend to just ask, hey, Jerry, are you okay? Yeah, I'm good. All right, cool. And we lean out. However, if you ask these more deeper and open-ended questions, it helps us lean in. And then another one that I love as a conversation starter for mental health is, hey, Jerry, I noticed that recently you've been, and then insert whatever you've noticed. So, hey, Jerry, I've noticed that recently you've been a little bit irritable. Are you okay? Or Jerry, I've noticed that you've just not been yourself recently. So that's also a really good one. So the 2, so rating out of 10, and then I noticed that recently because it just shows that you care and it's coming from a place of empathy and compassion.
Wow. Small things can make a big difference.
Definitely. Yeah, that's it.
I like that rating that you give to yourself and you give to your people. It makes it's just a reflection. It helps you become clear what you are struggling with.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you please share what's like a client success story?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And it's interesting, we've only been running this business, I say only, been running this business for about 12 months now. And we've done a mixture of sort of one-on-one work and group work. And one of the biggest, there's so many stories. I mean, one of the changes I've seen is I had a lady and she's a very busy corporate worker. Yeah. So if some of your listeners might be in corporate, they totally understand that it's quite a masculine role. It's quite a black and white role, it's either right or wrong. There's no gray, there's no in between. It can be quite a harsh environment. You're always switched on, long days, long hours, moving into your home life too, doing work at home. So she came to me quite stressed. Her stress was about 9 out of 10 on average every day, which is very high. And she came to me wanting help, wanting tools, wanting strategies. She's like, I don't want to leave my job. However, I know I can't keep doing this forever. She's like, it's having an impact on my relationship with my beautiful partner. And obviously one day I want to have children and I'm just feeling so stressed. Like, how can I keep going? And she basically signed up. I was doing an online course at the time, running one. And it went for 2 months. She joined this course and there was some other beautiful ladies in this course as well. And by the end of it, she said that her stress was an average of about 4 or 5 out of 10, which is actually perfect because we don't want stress to be nothing. Like I said, we don't want to eliminate stress. However, we want to make it in that manageable state where it's not consuming our life. It's not actually dragging us back. It's helping us propel us forward. And she said that one of the biggest takeaways from it was, one, connection. She said connecting with other like-minded people that were on a similar journey, could share honest and raw stories together, made such a huge difference for her because she felt like in this corporate space that she was alone, that she was the only one that seemed to be stressed or not coping, that no one really spoke about it. So being in a space that was open and honest and she could be herself and share stories and things that she probably wouldn't normally share really helped her. And then she also said that the daily non-negotiables that we set in that course really helped. So she set herself daily non-negotiables to read 10 pages of an inspirational book. And then every day, every morning, she starts with 10 minutes of meditation and a little bit of breath work to connect in with herself, write her gratitudes, and then she goes on her day. So that's her 15 minutes. That's her 1% every day. And she said that that was one of the things that really, really helped her. So the non-negotiables and finding connection and community. And now, she's thriving. She keeps messaging me and she'll always tell me like, I love that course so much. And, if you do anything else, I'd really like to continue because I want to learn and dive into this more. And she's saying, I'm so grateful that I actually said yes to sort of diving into this a little bit more, investing into my health because now I'm feeling so much better. I'm more connected with my partner. I'm able to switch off from work when I get home. And it's really cool, Jerry, to sort of see those changes and stories because I think sometimes you can get so stuck into what you're doing that you forget what impact you're making, or I know I do sometimes. And then when someone messages you and says stuff like that, wow, okay, so what I am teaching is making a difference and it is landing on people and they are implementing some beautiful changes. So that's one of the stories.
Wow, thank you so much for your wonderful story. I'm so glad you were able to make a difference in her life. And one other thing, how can the audience reach out to you to transform their lives, to seek your expert advice?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Jerry. Well, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Lauren_the Stress Solutionist. That's my personal Instagram. Or if you want to connect with, our company on Instagram, it's Workplace PWI. So that's our handle on Instagram. We're also on LinkedIn, Lauren McGee, or you've got Workplace Performance and Wellbeing Institute on LinkedIn. They're probably the two main ways you connect with us. And also, of course, we've got our own podcast, the Thriving Workplace Podcast. So if you want to head over there, it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can take a listen. Reach out on socials, send any questions you have, say hello, and I would absolutely love to connect with your listeners.
I'll definitely make sure to share all the links and your social media. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lauren, it has been an absolute honor to interview you and hear your expert advice and stories. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome, Jerry. Thanks for the opportunity.
Sweatpants to Suits is a podcast where we dive into the journeys of career professionals, uncovering the secrets to transforming from sweatpants mode to suit success. Join us as we explore personal stories, insights, and strategies for cultivating a growth mindset and achieving your vision of success. I am your host, Jerry. Are you ready to up your game? Stay tuned. New episode releases every Tuesday.